I did my best. Wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I told the truth. I didn't come to fool. Stand before the Lord, nothing on my lips, but hallelujah.
Guy's probably fought hundreds of thousands of other super beings on the other planets he's destroyed, right? And we'll presume he's won.
I don't care how many demons he's fought, how many hells. He's never fought us. Us united.
We won! Zack Snyder won! Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the dceu Daily. The voice is going already. I couldn't give a flying F. Welcome to the episode of the dceu Daily where we re-examine and reanalyze how Zack Snyder won. So sit back and enjoy it and see what you think about how I think Zack Snyder won. Because it goes back to that brilliant piece of dialogue. Obi-Wan Kenobi says to Darth Vader in A New Hope, "You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. You can't win, old regime of Warner Brothers." And I think it's important we talk about the old regime here. We don't just blindly say Warner Brothers, because that's not fair on Warner Media and AT&T, who are doing a great job and have actually given us what we've wanted and given us a chance to see Zack's true vision of his Justice League movie. The old regime of Warner Brothers and elements of mainstream media conspired to drive Zack Snyder off the project. Not just to drive him off the project, but to make sure every single member of the public would agree with that decision. But this wasn't done in an honest, transparent way. Many studios bring someone in and then decide, well, this guy or this woman isn't doing what's right for us. And in terms of bringing in the billions and billions we want, he isn't right or she isn't right for us. Sorry, pal, you have to go and we have to start again. They didn't do that. They wanted to be underhanded. So basically, they created the DC Cinematic Universe. They said to Chris Nolan, "Come on, mate, give us what you did with the Dark Knight trilogy." He said, "No, what I'm going to do is I'll mold it for you. Me and David will write a screenplay and a story for your first film, Man of Steel, but we will choose who's going to actually have the visual authority." And basically, Chris, being Chris, chose Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder. It was a very controversial choice, we can't pretend, especially after Watchmen, because there's different opinions about Watchmen. Where I've seen it once or twice and I think it's a hell of a brilliant movie, I haven't read the comics or the graphic novels, if you like, so I can't give you a really into scoped opinion if what Zack did with that movie was right or wrong or indifferent. I can't tell you that, but I enjoyed it. But I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's DC movies. I like 300. I like Dawn of the Dead and all of those films, but they're not a passion of mine. My passion in terms of Zack Snyder is Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. And I can't wait to see this Justice League movie. I can't stop watching this trailer and singing along to that song, which is brilliant and also controversial because we are dealing with Zack. But that song means a hell of a lot to him. There's nothing wrong with playing it on this trailer. And for us, what it means is, hallelujah, we won. Zack won. But going back to how Zack won. So anyway, right, they did Man of Steel. They were very nervous about him during Man of Steel. People like Jeff Johns were not happy because he didn't get a say with Man of Steel at all, which he told Vulture just before Justice League was released. And I've read you the article before. So we get to Batman versus Superman. They're very, very nervous. They've already kite-washed Man of Steel 2 and Zack's Ultimate Vision and Ultimate Arc. So we get to Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. Now, this film goes into production, 3 years after? 3 years after Man of Steel. So they could have just been Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan after that. The problem they had was that Christopher Nolan was working on a lot of big projects under the banner of Warner Brothers. So they couldn't afford to upset this guy. So what he said goes. So basically, Warner Brothers weren't happy, or DC Entertainment weren't happy with Snyder, but to please Nolan and keep him with a good relationship with him, they had to keep on going. So they did Batman vs Superman. They saw Zack's cut of the movie. They didn't like it, cut it to pieces. That trailer company cut it. It wasn't Zack. It was a terrible theatrical cut. Although I enjoyed the movie when I saw it. I understood it and I got it and I still liked the movie. But then we actually saw Zack's vision, which was Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, which really is an important movie for the future of the Snyderverse and the DC Cinematic Extended Universe, because this is the film that's is setting up the Justice League movie. We see little cameos of Aquaman and the Flash. We see the Flash in the Suicide Squad as well. We see Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman plays quite a prominent role in BVS. Let's not forget that. It's a great introduction to her character. So we get the extended cut. We then get Suicide Squad, which is destroyed by critics. Again, a trailer company cuts this film, and this is reshot, not by David Ayer, but by DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers. It's not his film. He shot the movie mostly, but it's not his edit. The director must be in charge of editing and deciding what we're going to see and what we're not going to see. David Ayer didn't have that situation. So again, we get another extended cut because they didn't believe in this director and the vision of Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan again. So then we come to this Justice League situation where this was supposed to be 2 or 3 movies. I think originally they announced 2 movies. According to Zack, the vision was 3 movies, right? Awesome. Then they cut it to 1 movie. Then at first I'm thinking, well, that's not a problem as long as it's at the right length and this can work. It still would have been awesome to have a trilogy of Justice League movies. And now we're going to get that. I'm certain of that. Anyway, him and Chris Terrio wrote a brilliant screenplay. They were told to go back. They were scared. It was a scary idea. Zack's told us this. You know, basically, the other day, was it on Real Anarchy, was it, that Zack turned up and said that he thought it was a joke when the old regime of Warner Brothers told him that they only wanted Justice League to be 2 hours. It was ridiculous. So stipulation over stipulation. They knew they didn't want to work with Snyder. All they had to do was keep on, robbing him of his free will and his free creative process, and they drive him off the project. And surprise, surprise, in the end, Zack had to leave. So we had this big announcement that Zack Snyder was stepping down because he thought he could carry on working through the tragic suicide of his daughter Autumn, but he and Deb needed to take time out, and his good friend Joss Whedon was just going to finish the movie up. It's still Zack's movie. Joss is not redoing anything. He's not putting his imprint. He's good friends with Zack. Zack chose a great person, according to the official announcement, and everything was going to be okay. This was not the truth. Zack and Deb did not step away because of Autumn's death. They were nearly finished. That is not true. This is how they used a young woman's death, right, to get rid of Zack Snyder, Autumn's father, right? It was disgusting, right? And they thought they'd won. They thought, this is easy now, right? We bring Joss Whedon. But they wanted to make their success. They wanted to rebrand the DCEU using Zack Snyder's actors, Zack Snyder's film, right? They wanted to take Zack Snyder's Justice League, right, and rebrand it into a cookie cutter movie. Now, if they gave themselves some time and they delayed the movie by a year, maybe they would have got away with it. Firstly, Cavill wouldn't have had that dreadful moustache, right? That dreadful tash. That's one thing they would have got away with. It still wouldn't have made it a great movie. We still would have seen the fake backgrounds at the Kent farm and the other horrible CGI for Steppenwolf, right? But they might have got away with it. But here's the thing, right? I'm Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Gang and the Mystery Machine or whatever they're bloody well called, right? And I've just unmasked Joss Whedon, John Berg, Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, John Berg, all of these people, Sujihara, and they say to me, we would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. And I would have said, well, shall I tell you how you would have got away with it? If you actually cancelled the whole of the DCEU and made an official announcement saying, we don't feel the way it is right now is working. We don't believe we're making the money or getting the attention we want. We are scrapping the DCEU as it is. And we are rebooting the DC Extended Cinematic Universe. And the first film you will see is Joss Whedon's written and directed Justice League movie. A Justice League movie made and cast by Joss Whedon. But what they wanted to do was use Zack's actors, right, and Zack's movie and rebrand it into this cookie-cutter Marvel movie. So we've seen the movie. We kind of know it's crap on first viewing, but we pretend we like it because we're loyal fans. And Zack's really, really quiet. He's quiet, basically, through the release of Justice League, the reaction of Justice League. He's quiet when it's released via DVD and Blu-ray and digital. But then when he's legally allowed to speak, Zack's on Vero. Now, I don't know the whole history of him being on Vero, whether he was on Vero before or after, and he even planned that. So Zack Snyder rose, and he started making posts, showing pictures of his movie and talking about his movie. All of a sudden, the fans, the mainstream media who colluded and conspired with the old regime of Warner Brothers to bring Zack down and bring these movies down so they could move away. They could basically make cookie-cutter movies on Zack's bones and Zack's actors, right? They had a problem. The big problem they had was that their idea had failed and flopped. And Zack was coming out and talking. And legally, they couldn't shut him up. Because he wasn't being disparaging, he wasn't being disrespectful. He was just saying, this is my movie. This is what you can have. This is what you still can have. And all you have to do is fight for it. All of a sudden, people like me and you are thinking, bloody hell, imagine, we love BVS, MOS. Imagine what his bloody Justice League's like, right? That's what it's going to be like, right? That's a hint of what it's going to be like, right? So then he starts, utilising the fans. The fans they didn't know Zack had. I didn't even know. I thought I was one of the Snyderverses of the DCEU's very few fans because we were all very quiet when, excuse me, we were all very quiet when everyone was slaughtering BVS, right? There was very few of us fighting. And I fought back. I was very verbal on Twitter, and most of you wouldn't have even known I existed back then. I loved that movie. I loved Man of Steel and BVS. They were brilliant movies, and I couldn't wait to see what the man was going to do with Justice League. So I was excited to go to the cinema and see this film, and even I, with my biased fanboy eyes and ears and heart, couldn't pretend that I enjoyed it. And you know the story of me being in the cab and me lying to the cab driver that I liked the film when I did. And I was heartbroken. And I couldn't hide that heartbreak. But even then, when we started to fight for this movie alongside being utilised by Zack Snyder, the old regime of Warner Brothers was still there. Sujihara was still there. So he allegedly got one of his friends at the Wall Street Journal to do a very, very interesting article. An article which basically spoke to certain members of the Release the Snyder Cut movement. it was clear at this point that these few fans, us, have been making some noise. And the old regime of WB were getting nervous. Not only that, I mean, they were never going to, look, the old regime were never going to release this, but there was a problem now because Zack was revealing and we were uncovering the truth of what happened during that whole production and how they treated him and how they used the tragic suicide of the man's daughter to get rid of him, to drive him off the project. Now, you've got to remember, I'm not there. I'm just I'm alleging stuff. I believe what I'm saying is true. So, the Wall Street Journal did the article, right? Ben Fritz, he spoke to people like Chris Wong-Svensson. Chris, I remember Chris on the Ping Pong Flick saying, look, this could be a stitch up, but I'm going to take the risk. And I remember that. And Chris was very honest, and everyone he spoke to was very honest, and he stitched them up. He tried to make them look like crazy, religious freaks and idiots. And then he claims he spoke to an insider at Warner Brothers who said there's no Snyder cut of Justice League and it's all a facade and we're all a bunch, So I remember reading that article to you on Big Mouth here on the DCEU Daily, and I remember actually at the time thinking, is it even worth fighting? And I don't know what happened, but again, we were utilised and we brought each other up and we started fighting again. So it was amazing. And Zack would become more and more prominent on Vero. They couldn't stop him because Vero is an independent social media platform, which really nobody, no wealthy entity has any influence on, especially movie studios. So the old regime were obviously in a lot of trouble by now. They tried to silence us with the Ben Fritz article and they failed. And Zack saw this and he was building up momentum until we got to November the 19th, which changed everything. But what really changed everything was the acquisition of Time Warner from AT&T, which we discussed at a great length, right? They changed everything. They came in, they created Warner Media, they kicked every single door down. You ask Ellen. They investigated what went on during the whole situation, not during the reshoots at that point, but they investigated how and why Zack Snyder left. And if there is indeed a Snyder cut, they quickly found out there was one. And on November the 19th, they made it clear to anyone who would listen that November the 17th, 2019, that whole event we did on Twitter, they pretty much were telling people in the media, if it was successful, they would start talking to Snyder. After that event, all of a sudden, Warner Brothers started following Zack Snyder. Many, many other Warner Brothers entities were following. I think even Jim Lee started following him. So all of a sudden, there was a conversation. Zack was, of course, up for it. And this is where we are now. So this is how Zack Snyder won. Zack Snyder won through and via Zack Snyder. Now, I helped fight for the Snyder Cut. But it's Zack Snyder's intellect. They thought they'd killed him. They literally thought they'd destroy him. If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Yes, for the past 2 days, right, we have been all voting in an IDMB poll, right? Who's the best Batman? Bale was whipping Affleck. And all of a sudden, Zack Snyder goes on Vero and posts the kind of poll, right, and says, you know what to do. Guess what happened yesterday? Ben Affleck was voted the best and most popular Batman of all time. This is the power of this fandom, this movement, when we're together and when we're not fighting and when we're not blocking each other and not disagreeing over animated Snyder movies, right? And I never disagreed about it. I just thought it was a joke, right? That people would actually want animation over live action. I love animation, and I think Zack's a great animator, and I think he'd do some great stuff. And if that's part of the vision, that's great. But I fell out with someone like Davey Pina, someone that I liked and respected, and now he's blocked me, right? And now we're not talking anymore. Isn't that a shame? But when we stand together as a fandom, look what we can achieve. With Zack, we stood with Zack for many reasons, for the suicide of his daughter, for what we could, because we wanted, let's get one thing straight. We want to see this movie. And that was the prime goal all the time. But we're going to get so much more now. We used to dream about this. Oh, if only Zack could come back and finish his arc and do more movies. It's going to happen now. Because what AT&T, Jim Lee and Walter Hamada are doing, and they confirmed this at DC Fandom, by doing this multiverse strategy, you can get anything that you want. And yesterday, Warner Media talking on Twitter about how everything is about the fans now. It's amazing. And, you know, it's great to see the head of Warner Media coming out to people like the Hollywood Reporter and saying, do you know what? We don't give a shit that our launch wasn't as successful as Disney Plus's launch. It's not about that for us. We're about doing something for everyone. We're about taking the long road to create something that's setting the concrete so it sets and doesn't crack. What Disney Plus are doing is not set in stone. Yes, it's financially viable now, but how long will that last? What Warner Media are doing is amazing, kicking the door down of, you know, treating people who have worked in the old regime, you know, cast and crews being treated with toxicity, kicking that door down. We saw what happened with the Ellen show. There's now an official investigation, right, into the reshoots of Justice League. This is just the beginning. This company is amazing. The people running this new Warner Media are amazing. And don't forget, we've still got DC Fandom Part 2. Hopefully, J.J. Abrams shows up on there. But we will see. There's so much to look forward to. And that, my friends, is how Zack Snyder won. And Zack Snyder is more powerful than Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, John Berg, and Kevin Sugihara ever imagined. It would have been better for them in the long run just to let him do what he wanted with one Justice League movie, wave goodbye to him, then bring, you know, Joss Whedon in to do whatever he wanted, right? Let the guy finish his arc, and then there's a new era. It was easy, but they didn't want to do that. They were lazy people who wanted instant gratification and instant billion-dollar movies with cookie-cutter movies. You lost. Zack won. We all won. Cinema won. We won. It's a great time. It's a beautiful time. And there's still people very, very bitter. People like Collider making sarcastic videos about Zack Snyder telling Scott Mendelson that his Justice League movie is for adults. You can do what you like, Collider. You lost and we won. It's over. There's no going back. You can make fun of Zack, you can make fun of us, but we won. And this is just the beginning, because I'm going to finish off telling you what I told you on the top of the show. It's not just Zack Snyder's Justice League that's back. It's the whole of the Snyderverse. Do you think that Warner Media and AT&T are not watching over that IMDb poll, right? Of course they are. Ben's back. Ben's going to play a prominent role in Flashpoint. It's time that everyone understood what's going on here. We won. Don't get angry. Don't take the bait. We won. All we have to do now is sing hallelujah and enjoy the party. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.